This video, and possibly every video for the past 5 years, has been made possible by Dragonclaw Computers. Any design, any budget, made just for you. Visit dragonclawcomputers.org and mention joshscorcher at checkout and receive a free autographed PNY flash drive.
Hello there, Internet! I am your friendly neighborhood fiery joker, and today, one of these lucky episodes shall be reviewed on... Wheel of Controversy! Spin the wheel! Come on, baby, give me a fun one. Hello!
I just don't know what went wrong.
Oh boy. So this episode opens up with Applejack doing some sort of rodeo Olympics and breaking the in-universe laws of physics so hard that Pinkie Pie would congratulate her.
Applejack, you're sure to knock every pony's head off at the Equestria rodeo competition.
I'm Southern!
And I can't wait for my big sis to win every blue ribbon in Equestria and bring home the title of Equestria Rodeo Champion.
I tell ya, she gonna win the blue ribbon for banjo dueling one day, darn tootin'! Don't look up that one, kiddies. It'll scar you for life. Okay, I'm done.
Now, careful, Derpy.
Oh boy. Here we go down Controversy Boulevard at 88 miles an hour without brakes. That was fast. So, a bit of history. For those just now entering the modern pony scene, Derpy used to be a background character that came about due to a technical glitch. A derp, if you will. And because the internet is the internet, they noticed it and blew it up to epic mimetic proportions. Every little thing she did caused the fandom to create more of a personality for her. Things like loving muffins because she said it once. Or she's a male pony because she's delivered stuff in a few episodes. And even that she's a single mom because a child seems to follow her around with no spouse in sight. And thus, the internet affectionately dubbed her Derpy Hooves. Since the show staff are very in tune with their fanbase, they thought it was cute and actually put Derpy into the show as a nod to the fans for their creativity and passion. And here's how the fanbase reacted. They sent death threats to the show writers and voice actresses. GG. Yes, quite a few people found this portrayal of Derpy offensive. And as a result, the episode was pulled from iTunes, reruns, and Netflix, her voiceover was replaced, and references to the name Derpy were removed. I have opinions on this. See, Derpy was huge. For a while, even if you didn't know what the show was, you knew Derpy Hooves. And inside the fandom, so many fanfictions were made exploring her character, artwork and comics were made depicting her, and no one found it offensive then. No one had a problem with Derpy as a character until the show decided they wanted to make it official. That's not fair. And even then, there's a lot of people who seemed to have a problem with bringing a character with a physical difference to the center of attention, even if it was only for less than a minute. People said it was disrespectful to kids with special needs and it was offensive. Okay, frankly, shouldn't hiding a character that's different from everyone else be more offensive? Isn't censoring a character with a disability more disrespectful to people who actually might have similar issues? Those kids need representation too. Those kids need a character to look up to just as much as any other kid, perhaps even more so. There was a story about an autistic kid who looked up to Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. He saw someone who acted like he did and was still a hero. Or heck, even Julia from Sesame Street. Kids can see a character like her and say, hey, she's just like me. This kind of representation is important for kids, especially kids who might already get bullied at school for being different. It gives validation to who they are and the struggles they go through. Here, Derpy is different. She has crossed eyes, she's clumsy, she makes mistakes, but she's also sweet and she cares about others. So censoring Derpy because she happens to be clumsy and look different from the other ponies could actually be seen as worse than just leaving her be. Even though she thankfully wasn't removed from the episode entirely, what they replaced it with was worse. They changed her voice to sound like an airhead or a stereotypical dumb blonde. And Derpy's original voice? It's adorable, gosh darn it! Yes, the voice is a bit deeper than we probably expected, but I think it still sounds fairly androgynous. And besides, I think it's kind of poetic how this voice came about because of a derp. Tabitha St. Germain, the voice actress, she thought Derpy was a dude. That's like a perfect mistake. A derp, if you will. While there is an argument to be made that Rainbow Dash might be slightly more frustrated or angry than she should be in the original, is that any different than how Rainbow Dash normally acts? I mean, it's better than what they changed it to. In the first one, yes, Rainbow Dash gets angrier, but that's because she's treating Derpy like a person. In the second one, she's a lot more gentle, but it also comes off as condescending, like Derpy's some other strange entity rather than someone with the capacity for feeling emotions. It implied that anyone who is different ruins everything they touch, that they are incompetent and incapable of functioning normally. Now, while I was, and still am, in favor of Derpy staying the same, I understand the other side of the argument. While most people use the word derpy in the context of mistake or awkward, there are people who use the word in place of something like retarded. And while in my experience no one's really used it like that, it had to come from somewhere. There really was no solution to this where everyone could be pleased. And even then, they put Derpy in the show because they wanted to be nice. They changed her for the exact same reason. See, language is tough. For a while, stupid meant the same thing as retarded. Now, because culture got its hands on it, stupid no longer means what it was intended to mean. The words dumb and lame suffered the same fate. Originally, they were used as normal terms for people who are mute or physically disabled, respectively. Then they became derogatory terms. But they've since been lessened to common insults that don't offend anyone in the same way they used to, and have nothing to do with physical limitations. I mean, how do we use the word derp nowadays? It's interchangeable with oops. I believe that was the original affectionate intent of her name, and it got blown out of proportion. Do you really believe that DHX of all companies would be malicious like this?
I don't think so.
In the end, it's a sad testament to the power of words, but it's important to bring up when speaking about this episode. Luckily, Derpy's returned with great fanfare, and all seems to be right with the world again, and she's as cute as ever. But the most frustrating part about all of this is that I've fallen into the exact same trap that everyone falls into when talking about this episode, focusing more on these 50 seconds rather than the actual episode. Derp. So, the townsfolk gather together to send Applejack off, and they say how happy they are that she'll donate her winnings to fix the town hall? Pretty presumptuous, don't you think? Yeah, I'll get back to this part later. First, they gotta give Applejack a couple encouraging words before she departs on the train to go have fun at the rodeo!
And bring back all that money!
Only caring about the money, a true politician.
We've got to have money.
See you in a week! With lots of new blue ribbons!
And lots of money!
I love how Applejack is totally unfazed by the mayor's money grubbing.
It's delightful how you take turns sniffing after my money.
So, a week passes, and Applejack is slated to return home to a patented pinky party thrown by her friends and family. Even the extended apples have come to see her home.
I know, but I hope she isn't so surprised she's startled, because while being surprised can be nice, being startled can be very startling. Surprise! Oh, Pinky, you startled me.
Oh, Pinkie Pie, never change. Fluttershy, on the other hand, change. Change a lot, please. That's something I want to talk about. The animators went nuts with Pinkie in this episode. It's just something I want to compliment, you know? Taking the time, putting that little extra bit of effort in. Good job, animators. You get a cookie. Turns out Applejack sent a letter back stating that she's not returning to Ponyville. Fearing the worst, the rest of the cast head out to find her. Then we get a montage that, you know, honestly could have been done without. I mean, it's not particularly funny, nor does it build the world in any way. It's only there to explain where Applejack is, which could have been done in a single sentence. I mean, shouldn't the letter have a return address? All they would have to do is look on the freaking envelope to see where she is. Just read it and say, she went to Dodge Junction. Boom! Done! To think, they used this pointless scene instead of the one Amy Keating Rogers wrote for Derpy that gave context behind why the town hall needed to be repaired in the first place and made her character less of a menace. Smooth.
I don't know how we'll break it to the Apple family.
I don't know how we'll break it to Ponyville.
I don't know how I'll make it to the next stop!
Believe it or not, back in the day, that was a very surreal joke. This was the first time a pony ever mentioned something toilet-related. Yeah, a season and a half in a kid's show without a single potty joke. That's restraint. So by sheer stroke of "it's Pinkie Pie, don't question it," the girls locate their friend. And just as suddenly, we meet Cherry Jubilee. She tells us that Applejack won a bunch of ribbons and now she's working on her cherry ranch. And if you thought that was an incredibly flimsy explanation for turning her back on the things that she's valued for so long, congratulations! You came to the exact same conclusion that her friends did. Give yourselves a cookie. So of course, the next logical step is to stalk her to her new job. You know, there's actually an interesting subversion here. Usually if a character needs or is being forced to do something they don't like, they make the one in charge someone awful, and makes it as miserable for the hero as possible. Cherry Jubilee? She's nice, she's accommodating, and she seems to truly appreciate Applejack. Good job, writers! Have a cookie! And here we come to one of the best moments in the episode. The I Love Lucy reference. Not to dissect this little parental bonus too much, but I like how in this, it's not exactly the same as the old one. While the slapstick is the same, and even the hats, the setup is different. And in this, there's actually a reason for the speed up, which not only makes sense, but actually works in the plot's favor. The integration is seamless. Again, good job, writers. Gonna run out of cookies at this rate. Then they decide to bring in the big guns, and then the episode very unsubtly zooms in on Pinkie, menacingly licking cherry mush. Be afraid. Be very afraid. According to the next scene, big guns means highlighting the parts of Pinkie Pie's personality that annoys the heck out of people who don't particularly care for her.
Pickle barrel, pickle barrel, pickle barrel. Say it with me. Pickle barrel, kumquat, pickle barrel, kumquat, pickle barrel, kumquat, chitty chitty changa.
No! Make it stop! Make it stop!
Yes, Pinkie has been weaponized. And it's hilarious. It's so weird. She's being deliberately annoying here so much that it loops right back around to being endearing. They hold Applejack down and force her to promise to spill the beans the very next day at breakfast. Pinkie takes promises very seriously, so much that when one is broken, she briefly turns it to Sinistar.
Beware, coward. Run, coward.
The next part is a chase sequence that is actually pretty engaging. The jokes are funny and the action set pieces are not bad. But eventually they catch up and Applejack reveals everything. She won a lot of ribbons, but no first place ribbons. Hence, no prize money.
That's why I came here. I wanted to earn some money. After that big old send-off Ponyville gave me, I just didn't have the nerve to come home empty-hoofed. I couldn't come home a failure.
And that is my biggest problem with the episode. Right at the beginning, everyone came in and treated Applejack like a freaking hero before she actually won anything. Yes, she's had some prior accomplishments, but they shouldn't automatically assume that she'll win everything. They place so much pressure and expectations on her that, really, anyone would probably react the way Applejack did. Yes, Applejack still made that choice in the end, but Ponyville's gotta accept a little bit of responsibility for this. It's one thing to disappoint your family and friends who will love you no matter what. It's a whole other thing to disappoint an entire town who sees you as either their hero or a source of income. I honestly blame Mayor Mare for a lot of this. All of that pressure hurts more than it helps, even when it's someone as capable as Applejack. And frankly, being hailed as a hero before accomplishing anything just kind of feels empty. It's a place Applejack felt obligated to fill, and when she couldn't, she ran because she couldn't take the shame.
Applejack, we can always find a way to fix that hole in the roof, but if you don't come back, we'll never be able to fix the hole in our hearts.
Darn it! Now you got me acting all sappy.
Bugger! But on a more positive note, this episode does end on a sentimental lesson that people forget a lot. We get wrapped up so much in the pressures of succeeding, we forget that we have people behind us, ready to support us and love us no matter what happens. Sometimes we take that love for granted, or more often than not, we forget it's there. But we need to learn to rely on that net more when times are hard. Also, Pinkie and Rarity have a really funny moment on a handcart.
When I get back, you're gonna get it, Rainbow Dash!
And that's the last roundup. I think it's pretty good. Aside from that little issue I just mentioned, the episode was pretty alright. It took quite a few risks, both plot and animation-wise, and most of it paid off. Pinkie in particular stands out in the animation department, doing things that the show doesn't normally do. It kept me engaged with a lot of good slapstick and clever references, and the mystery of what happened is a bit more hidden than usual kids' fare. Okay, it does lose some points for not executing the moral quite as perfectly as I'd have liked, but it's still good. And as for Derpy, I've made my feelings clear on that. She's adorable, who cares? Sorry, Joker. And how do you make a chimichanga?
Cut!
Hi, Dad!
I'm heading for the last roundup. I'm gonna saddle old paint for the last time and ride. Oh, so long, old pal, it's time your tears were dry. I'm heading for the last roundup. I'm heading for the last roundup. There'll be Buffalo Bill with his long snow white hair.